All right, good afternoon, educators, administrators, and industry representatives. Thank you all for joining us today for the Energy Construction Utilities Advisory Board. My name is Ari Lawson. I'm one of the Career Exploration Program Managers with Vitalink. We have a great group of college representatives and industry representatives here. But before we get started, I do want to be sure to introduce our new Vitalink president, Ms. April Barnes.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our second advisory board of this year. So buckle up. There's a lot of great information coming your way. And so we're so glad. Thank you to all of our panelists and to Zach for being our moderator. And I know there's going to be a lot of great conversation. Enjoy, and we'll see you next time too. Thank you.
Thank you, April. All right, so upon entry, please do mute yourselves. I understand that some educators may still be in class or coming in and out of meetings. So yes, please do mute yourself. I know that we are on the move these days in virtual world. For check-in purposes, please go to the chat box, which is like a little spoken bubble that you'll find at the bottom of your screen. Please list your first and last name, your job title, and your school or school district if you're in the district office. This will help us with our check-in process, which we do turn this information in and have it available for your representatives. And then also for your frame square, please make sure your first and last name is spelled correctly and spelled out. By doing so, you can hover over the word participant. If you do not have the participant column open, participant icons at the very bottom of your screen as well. You can click more and then rename. Okay. And then for today's itinerary, we do have some fun information to share with you all. If you haven't heard, we are actually celebrating our manufacturing month, which is the month of October. National Manufacturing Day is actually the first Friday in October. And I want to say we had well over 200 or 300 students participating this month, where they went around to different colleges as well as different industries. We also have a great event coming up, which many educators have been asking us, is this coming back? It is. We have our Student Leadership Summit. This is coming up on Wednesday, November 30th, and it's from 9:30 to 2:30 at the Delta Hotel in Garden Grove. If you have not received this flyer, feel free to email me directly. I'll share my email in the chat shortly. And we can be sure that we get this flyer over to you to review with your administrators. It is only $20 per student. Students will participate in various workshops. They have a chance to meet with industry professionals about what skills are needed to be successful in their future career. We will have two panel sessions available. One where they'll learn about careers you didn't know you could have. And then another panel, they'll hear from human resource representatives about the skills that help their resumes stand out compared to the others. And then we will have a roundtable discussion where students will interview different industry representatives, kind of asking what brought them into their career, what education path did they take, if they did, or if they took a military route or entrepreneurial route. Okay. All right, and then upcoming now, we will have our college panel discussion, and then we'll take a quick 10-minute break, followed by the industry panel discussion. And then we'll have a final Q&A for any representatives that might have questions for industry professionals, or if you think of a question for the college professionals. All right, and so if I can ask the college representatives to turn their screens on. We have Mr. Oscar Ortiz from OCC, Mr. Carl Henderson from OCC as well. And from SCC, we have Carlos, I'm so sorry, I'm trying to say Carlos, and Mr. Jeffrey. If we can ask the other representatives to please turn your cameras off. This will help us highlight the speakers during their session. All right, thank you so much. I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Zachary Hill, who is moderating the college session. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Good evening. Thanks for coming tonight. I'm really glad to have everybody here. Like I was introduced, my name is Zachary Hill. I'm the Chief of Staff over at Tomorrow's Talent, and I'm happy to be moderating tonight for you. So first, I'd like to ask, I'm going to list off your first names in order, but if you could each introduce yourselves, the members of the panel here for our audience, list your name, your title, the college you're at, and maybe a brief summary of your department or the courses that you lead. So if we could start with Oscar, and then Carl, you'll be next.
Oh, hello, everybody. My name is Oscar Ortiz. I'm the full-time construction professor at Orange Coast College. In the terms of our offerings, we have a very robust construction program. We have more classes than just about any other community college in the LA Orange area. A lot of them are hands-on, framing, masonry, concrete, etc. Some of them are managerial, estimating, how to get your license, those types of things. And we offer a variety of certificates as well as a few associate degrees.
Thank you so much, Oscar. Carl, and then Jeffrey, you'll be after him. Thank you. Carl, yeah, thank you. You got it.
Hello, my name is Carl Henderson. I'm full-time faculty at Orange Coast College in the Manufacturing Technology Division department. And we have a variety of classes where we start students out that have little or no experience in a basic 100 class where they get 6 weeks of mill, 6 weeks of lathe, and then they, blueprint reading and things like that, just to get them acclimated to see if this is something that they're interested in getting into. From there, they would move on to the advanced courses, where it's a full 16 weeks of mill and lathe, separate classes where there's more advanced projects that they work on. And then they're picking up classes with manual programming for CNC, learning G-code and how to write that out by hand. And then they move into the more advanced CNC programming classes using Mastercam, and then machine operation. And I teach the manual advanced lathe class, and then I teach the advanced CNC Operation 1, Operation 2, and then I've actually written curriculum for a introduction to 5-axis machining. And we have a really full shop of a variety of different types of equipment, and all industry standard. And we teach the skills that, can get these students out into the workforce and be successful on a job. I don't think we can hear you.
Sorry about that. I was just saying thank you. And go ahead, Jeffrey.
Thank you. My name is Jeffrey Dennis. I am the professor and department chair over the Water and Wastewater Technology program at Santiago Canyon College. It was formerly called Water Utility Science, but Water and Wastewater Technology covers basically more than just water. As you know, water and wastewater, the one water concept is very important now, but we offer courses for folks that want to go into the water field to be operators, distribution operators, wastewater operators, and water treatment operators. All operators have to be certified by the state of California, and we help them with their certification exam. It's about 30% math. I'm also over we have a new program in water automation, electronic technology. We have 4 courses there that can provide students with the automation certificate and lead to an apprenticeship program. That's really important. Also work with Carlos, who's going to talk about our public works program, and I'm also over our code enforcement program. But the water is the largest program, I believe, in all the California community colleges. We're very excited about that. It's one of the largest, I think, and the oldest and the best, if I may add, water program in the state.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey. And Carlos, go ahead and wrap us up.
Good afternoon. Yes, thank you, Jeffrey. Zachary. My name is Carlos Castellanos. I'm a part-time facilitator and faculty member over at SCC, overseeing our public works department. So public works really focuses on in three major areas. That includes construction inspection, construction management, and environmental compliance. Obviously, we cater to agencies and or contractors and consultants that service local agencies and municipalities. Wide range of courses that I teach include Intro to Public Works, plan reading, cost estimating, project management, construction materials and methods. So excited to be here, and looks like we have a very good, strong panel. So I'll include my insights as they apply to public works. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. So for the questions this evening, as we go through, please feel free to just treat it like a conversation, right? And to talk about it openly. I don't think we need to go 1, 2, 3, 4 through every question, right? That'll feel a bit fake. So let's just have it as a conversation. And then for those of us in the audience, if you do have any questions, please feel free to type those in chat. And we have some folks watching chat that'll either give them to me or ask them directly of the panel as we go. So feel free to type those in as we go. First one here is, and this is for you guys, how has the dual enrollment and students taking courses while they're still in high school, how has that improved their knowledge and skills before entering your courses?
I can start with that one if you guys don't mind. I recently had, we just get a handful of high school students, not too many. The few that we've had, I think they have a huge advantage because they're working on parallel tracks, right? They're obviously working to complete their high school, but they're also getting a head start. One student that comes to mind, he came to us a senior year, started taking a few public works courses. 2 years into the program, he's able to line up a part-time job with the local agency. And I thought that was super impressive, considering, we have individuals that are that have spent more time over at our college and taking our courses and are struggling to take, to find positions in municipalities. And then personally for me, I mean, I kind of take it upon myself to do whatever I could to help this student, support him and connect them with individuals that I knew were hiring or were in need of some of the skills that he could offer. So, I think it's great to get that head start, and really hit the ground running, as soon as you graduate from high school.
Yes, I'd like to add on to that. Thank you, Carlos. Carlos is extremely humble. He's a city engineer for the city of Anaheim, professional engineer. I don't know how he finds time to teach, but thank you, Carlos. I just wanted to add, what we found is in our water program, we do have individuals that enroll from high school, and water math and hydraulics is one of the courses. And we also have a couple of other introductory water science courses that I teach that I was amazed that high school students do extremely well. Maybe the math is a little bit fresh in their mind, but when we get to the question of how can high school teachers help out on their students, I think to really help out with the math and make sure they have that fundamental math. I'm talking fractions, decimals, percentages, average, the basic, because we get into unit dimensional analysis, not at a very high level, but just basic algebra. So if we can ensure that students come into that with a strong knowledge, that would really help them for any college course, but particularly anything in math. And I think our other college professors would also agree to that. But I think our dual enrollment program, as Carlos mentioned, we do get a few high school students, and they do quite well. And I think it's advantageous because in order to get certified through the state California Board of Water Resources, you have to have a high school diploma or a GED equivalent. And once you get a couple of courses behind your back with respect to water treatment, you can apply for and get a certification level that will provide you entry-level employment with a high school education and a few courses. So we find that the dual enrollment program works extremely well for folks that want to get into water, and as Carlos mentioned, public works.
You know, for OCC, at least in the construction program, it's very few high school students. And I think the reason behind that might be that we have articulation agreements with a couple of the high schools as well as Hope Builders. And so essentially what happens there is they have looked at our curriculum, and so we have an agreement in place where if they're taught part of our curriculum, when they come to OCC with their certificate, we give them a unit and a half of credit. And so I think at least in our field, I think they've chosen to stay there at the high school, Hope Builders, finish that program, and then get credit when they come to see us.
And myself, unfortunately, I normally don't get to see the students that high school students that come through, because normally they're in our summer classes, and I'm normally teaching an advanced CNC class or a tooling class. And my colleague, Al Cervantes, he usually teaches the beginning course during the summer, so he sees them more than I do. And by the time they get to me, they've already probably started a couple semesters at the college level. But I do know that we do get some high schoolers during the summer, but not that many.
Great, thank you. So then the next one is a little bit more about on your side of the class. What real world experiences does your class or your department, your classes at your college, offer to students that can help them when they jump into that first entry level job? What kind of things?
Well, you know, if I could start that one off, I think what's important of what we do at our program that's at our OCC that's really important is that it's truly hands-on. You know, we have students out there cutting lumber, you know, driving nails, cutting rafters, you know, pouring concrete, stacking block. And so I think it makes things realistic. You know, we don't just want to make it all paperwork and show them pictures of blocks and studs, and then they get out into the field, and once they feel that it's physical, you know, they change their mind about being in the industry. So I think we make it real. That's what I want to say.
And Oscar's absolutely right about that. And, you know, in our courses, we have to make it real for them, you know, and the courses that I teach, the 2 CNC advanced classes, you know, we're limited on equipment to have 18 students or everyone have a machine by themselves. So what I do is I put them in teams. And this is one of the things that I know some of our youth kind of lack, is being able to communicate. And I've even dealt with companies that are having these issues with communication. So by putting them in teams, and they're one person's, you know, inspecting, another person's sawing up material, they're writing programs, they're learning the equipment together. And so they're collaborating as they're working. And that's a big thing that needs to happen with these students before they get out to the industry, because in most companies, you're going to be working as a team effort. They need to know how to be able to communicate and do that.
Yes, in our water program, we have a few classes that are hands-on. One very popular class is the backflow prevention class. So we were fortunate enough to have Hisham El-Mishad, which is the lead inspector for the County of Orange County, which means you have to go through him to get tested to be a backflow prevention specialist. But this is all hands-on. You have to understand the plumbing. You get tested on all the various testing equipment that goes into a backflow device, and it's really important. For our other water quality classes, we developed a water quality lab analysis class. So it's an actual laboratory where students are hands-on performing various chemical and biological tests that you would see at a typical drinking water plant, and to a lesser extent wastewater. But we do have all the equipment there. We purchased a lot of equipment. And finally, our electronics laboratory, our electronics technology program, we have an electronics lab set up where we purchase state-of-the-art equipment such as power supplies, oscilloscopes, signal generators, and multimeters that students can actually use hands-on and move into the field with that experience as well.
And unfortunately, we're a little less hands-on. You know, we're heavy civil construction, so it's, you know, it's a little more challenging. But we do, I think one of the best things that we do to kind of, you know, complement that is we bring, you know, professionals to the classroom, right? All of our faculty are, you know, either engineers or public works professionals that are doing it every day, right? They share their experiences, their knowledge, and I think that helps students, right? Kind of see what it's like firsthand. Not firsthand, but through the eyes of an individual that's doing this regularly. A lot of case studies, a lot of those type of assignments that I think give students, you know, a bit more of an insight. And then in addition to that, you know, we are able to take field trips. So we do field trips to some material labs that are locally. The County of Orange, for example, they host some of our students on a regular basis. And then through our projects, right? One of the projects that I like to do is for the intro to public works is, you know, I make our students go out and find a position in public works that they're most interested in, and they have to go interview someone who's currently doing that job and or supervises that job. So they get some face time with these individuals. They get to understand what it's like, get to kind of get inside information that otherwise wouldn't be on a job flyer. So I get pretty good feedback on those type of assignments.
Yeah, thank you, Carlos. Just like to add to that, we had lots of field trips prior to the pandemic, so students really enjoy.
Sorry, Jeffrey, we lost you. Students
Sorry,
really
yeah.
enjoyed.
Yeah, we really, students really enjoyed field trips, touring wastewater treatment plants, water treatment plants, and the like. And to Carlos's point, all of our adjuncts are professionals in the water field, professional engineers that have real world experience. We also have a general manager that, I don't know how he does it, but he teaches as well. But we provide real world expertise so that students can understand what it takes, number one, to get in the field. Once they get in the field, how to keep a job. So we also really try to give them experiences outside of the normal classroom that you would normally get.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. It's good to know, you know, that the students are getting that real hands-on experience so that they have an idea what it's going to be like and they don't finish this whole program and then decide they don't want it. That's really important. But then this next question is a little bit on, you know, once they do finish, how easy is it going to be for them to actually join the industry? From your courses, are there any certifications or badges that the students earn that are, you know, industry recognized? And then how many hours, how long does it take to earn that certification if there is something like that in one of your courses?
Well, as far as certification, we do have an OSHA class. So when students complete that course, they're going to have their OSHA 30 card, you know, which a lot of employers would like their employees to have. Other than that, we have some certificates that are, I want to say, they used to call them mini certificates. That might not be the best way to describe them, but there are some certificates such as carpentry that you can earn with 2 classes. We have a plumbing certificate that you can earn with 3 classes. And so depending upon how many days a week a student comes, if they come twice a week in the evening, they can earn a certificate, one of those small ones, in about 2 semesters. If they're dedicated, you know, you could actually earn an associate degree, you know, maybe 5, I would say, semesters is probably about the average right now.
And yes, we also have 4 certificates of achievement that with general ed classes, they can get an AS degree with those classes. And we have a machinist certificate, CNC operator, CNC programmer, and a tooling certificate. And then we have 2 certificates of specializations where we get students that come back just to enhance their skills with some of the more advanced manufacturing classes that we offer. But like Oscar said, we're kind of in a similar situation. 2 semesters, they can get these certificates, and, you know, a lot of students are getting jobs while they're still taking classes. And I just put one student to work over at UCI. He just started a couple weeks ago, and he was an Air Force guy and started taking these classes here, had some experience, and he was somebody that I looked at that I felt could handle what the job was offering and expecting, and I sent him over there and he got hired. So he's happy with it. He's doing well, and this has happened, just about every semester, to where
Yes.
I'm able to get students jobs. So the companies are calling, they're sending emails with job descriptions, and we're filling the positions as soon as we can.
Yeah, thank you, Carl. That's really neat that you can send somebody out to get a job while in school. I've experienced the same success with our water program. We do offer a certificate of proficiency, which is 4 classes. The certificate of achievement is really what I push for. That's 7 water science classes. And I also encourage the students to go on and get their AS degree with the 60 GE units. But the important thing about the water science classes is the State Water Resources Control Board administers a test for operators, and you can get a level, it goes from level 1 all the way to level 5, depending on what level of treatment. But you can get a level 2 treatment and a level 2 distribution certificate from the state with no experience. So we have students that take a few classes, get their operator's certification level 2 and their distribution certification level 2, and go to work at an entry-level job in a water treatment plant, which is very exciting. We also have internships with local water agencies. The pandemic kind of stopped that to a certain extent, but we're starting that back up full speed with Irvine Ranch Water District and Orange County Sand Water District and a few other local water districts. But with respect to our certificate in automation, it's 4 classes. So you take 4 classes, and the beauty of a lot of these classes is that they're offered online for the water program, and we've condensed them to 8 weeks. It's the same amount of work, as you guys know, but it's 8 weeks, so you can finish the program in half the time if students put their mind to it. And the electronic technology program, you can get your certificate of achievement with 4 classes. That's DC circuits. We have a course in AC circuits, a course in programmable logic controllers, and electrical wiring course. And once you finish those 4 courses, you can go on to an apprenticeship program and get paid, but more importantly, get your certificate and get out in the work field.
And just quickly for us, we do offer 3 main certificates. I mentioned earlier in the area of construction inspection, construction management, and environmental compliance. Those have degree options as well. We are working on a hybrid certificate that will allow students and give students a little bit more flexibility. They'll be able to take courses from either code enforcement, public administration, water utility science, and or surveying, which are all, the way we see it, kind of municipal services, public works related. So we think we'll be able to cross enroll our students and really provide for a lot more flexibility and maybe more certificate options.
Great, thank you. And then, we've had so much good conversation here. We only have about 5 minutes left on this panel, but I have a few questions here about advice for high school teachers and high school educators for those students that they have coming into these careers. Both what advice would you have for them prepping those students, and how might they be able to change their curriculum to better prepare students for, when they're an incoming freshman for you?
Yeah, as far as for incoming, we were talking among ourselves before we got started here, and unfortunately nowadays the students we see, their math skills are generally pretty bad. In construction, you need to be able to do percentages, decimals, a little bit of algebra, for roof framing. And we eat up quite a bit of our class time going over basic math and so forth. So I think it would really benefit everyone if they would spend a little bit of time focusing on that.
I'd have to agree with Oscar on that one. We have the same situation. We're both cutting material, we're both building things, and math is one of the big struggles. I mean, trigonometry is really the biggest one. I've had students that are even having issues converting fractions into decimals. And in everything we do, we work in decimals. So math, having a good geometric and algebraic background is really important in our industry. In our two industries, would you say there, Oscar?
Yes, I would echo what Professor Ortiz and Professor Henderson has mentioned. Just basic math skills is a plus. Fractions, decimals, percentages, averages, just basic trigonometry, area of a circle, area of a volume area. They just seem to really struggle with basic math skills, and they want to Google everything. And I'm like, put your phone up. This is something you're gonna have to do without a phone. I told them I use a slide rule. They don't know what that is, but it's just something that we need to really educate our students on. Also, the writing skill and just professionalism. I don't believe I ever called any of my professors by their first name. If I did, they wouldn't have responded. So it's just a certain level of professionalism and writing skills. You don't write like you text. So I know we're short of time on stuff.
Yeah, and those are all true for the kind of work that we do, right? We're a math science-based profession, so there's a lot of that happens. I'll just add that one thing that I think students can really again kind of get ahead is learning or knowing how to communicate and express themselves, right? We're again kind of black and white with the math and science, but the more we kind of get into the profession, you realize that it's about people, and being able to communicate ideas clearly to non-engineers or public works professionals in my field is very important, right? So you have to find ways to be creative with your writing, with your presentation skills. I think all those help the individual kind of broaden their area of knowledge and who they're able to communicate with.
Great, thank you. I think that we got a pretty solid answer there, right? We got math skills, interpersonal communication, and writing ability, right? Presentation ability is maybe the three big skills that are really kind of industry agnostic. Doesn't matter what you're going into, those three skills will be very helpful for high school students going into this whole area of work. With that,
Zachary, can I add one thing? Can I add one thing to that?
Please do. Yeah, we have the time.
I need to bring this point up. It's not only the high schoolers that are coming in. I mean, we're having issues with 25 and 26-year-olds and 30-year-olds that are still having the same issues with the math and the communication skills. I'm not sure what happened, but it's real. And, we're dealing with this at different levels of, the age groups.
Is there anything else I was going to ask? We have just maybe 2 minutes, 60 seconds to just wrap things up. Did any of you want to give a last kind of closing thought here before we go on our short break?
And Zachary, we actually got a question in the chat. So I guess I'll open it to the floor. One of the educators is asking, is anyone seeing apprenticeship as a possibility for students in the near future?
At the moment at Orange Coast College, we have what we call it the apprenticeship. Oh, what's the last apprenticeship? We have a department that works with apprenticeships, and what happens there is that companies that are looking for workers will contact the school, and so they'll be vetted. And we've had some situations where those students get a job and they get assigned an advisor. So I've been the advisor several times, and I have to establish goals of what they're going to learn through this apprenticeship. And I've actually gone out to the job site, have met with the contractor. I have met with the student there, and they also get some college credits for that as well. So we do have something like that going on at the moment.
Oscar, are the ones that are getting sent out, are they getting paid on the job, or?
It works two different ways. They can get paid if that's what the employer wants to do, but they also have non-paid. And the advantage to that, or the motivator, is if they're non-paid, the employer doesn't have to worry about workman's comp. The school will take care of workman's comp for the student.
Right. Because
Yeah,
you know,
so sometimes that's the motivator.
and you know, the idea of the apprenticeship has changed
Right.
over the years. Because you know, 40 years ago, you know, you were going into a company as an apprentice, and you were being paid, you know, in your 8-hour day, working
Right.
on the job and getting paid and learning at the same time. So you know,
Exactly.
where we're at now, it has changed a little bit. You know, and I'm
Mhm.
familiar with what you're talking about, because we've had some students, you know, like one of the companies was Applied Medical,
Right.
that they came to us to send students over into
Right.
their company as an apprentice, and they were training them from there. You
Exactly.
know,
And I couldn't remember what it was called. It's called the Internship Academy that we have.
right, that's what I was saying, internship academy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Yes, we do have a apprenticeship program in our electronic technology program where, as Carl mentioned, you earn as you learn. So you would work in a company, you would earn a fairly good wage, and you would also get college credits for taking the course. So, and they also assign you a mentor to help you be successful in both the education as well as the work field. And it's primarily in, you know, automation, which pretty much spans over everything right now. But this is in our electronics technology program.
I have nothing to add. Jeffrey covered it.
You're muted, Zachary.
There it goes. Thank you so much for being a part of our panel this evening. I believe I'm going to turn it back to Arya before we go on our break.
Yes, this was perfect. I want to thank the college educators so much for sharing your expertise and knowledge with the high school educators. I feel like this information is very critical in helping them, better prepare high schoolers as they come and to your colleges to get the college education to be successful in their dream career. So we're now actually going to take a 10-minute break, just take a breather. Please do not log off because I was setting up the breakout room, but you can mute yourself and turn your camera off. And I'd say we'll reconvene at 4:20. Thank you all so much. Okay, all right. Welcome back, educators, industry professionals, and administrators. We are going to go ahead and get started with the industry panel. In panel 1 breakout room, which will be here in the main room, we will have Mr. Eddie, Marius, and Henry. Those are representatives of Eddie from Repower Solar. And then we have 2 representatives from Curtis Wright. And then I'm going to open a breakout room. I'm sorry, renewable energy. I'm going to open a breakout room for the construction and manufacturing representatives.
Thank you so much. Yeah, welcome back to our second panel here. I am going to, same as before, ask that our panel members can introduce themselves, your name, your title, the company you work at, and a brief summary about what it is that you do there. And then we'll jump right into the questions. So I'm not sure of who I have that is a panel member and who's an attendee. It's just one screen for me. So my panel members, can you please let me know and start by introducing yourself?
My name is Jeffrey Dennis. I'm a professor at Santiago Canyon College. I teach water and wastewater science, also over the electronics technology department. We do code enforcement. We also do public works, kind of under the umbrella of what I do but my main efforts and teaching is in water and wastewater utility science.
And Eddie, I believe you're next on I'm just going left, right across the screen.
Yeah. Great, I'll go next. My name is Eddie McLaughlin. The name of my company is Repower OC. And so I started my company about 5 years or so ago, 4.5, almost 5 years ago. And so previous to that, I actually worked in finance for about 15 years. So I didn't have any experience in kind of running my own business or in renewable energy or solar, but I have been learning it ever since. And so we focus primarily on commercial installations these days, but I kind of got my start in the business doing residential solar. We'll still do a small handful of residential stuff these days, but we're trying to focus the business much more on commercial installations going forward.
Great. Thank you, Eddie. And then Henry.
Hello, yeah, my name is Henry Summer, and I'm an analysis engineer at Curtiss-Wright. I work in the nuclear division, so we supply components for a nuclear power plant. So things like valves, pipes, pumps, and pressure vessels. We make sure that they are compliant with ASME code and other design specifications. But Curtiss-Wright as a whole has branches in aerospace, defense, industrial. It's a big conglomerate, kind of has its hands in a lot of different industries. So, yeah.
Thank you, Henry. And is that our entire panel, or is there anybody left to introduce themselves?
I'm a panel member too.
Thank you very much.
No problem. So Panama Bartholomew, I'm the founder and director of an organization called the Building Decarbonization Coalition. And we're both an advocacy and a trade association for how to electrify buildings, a movement to get off of gas across America. And so really focus on water heating, space heating, cooking, and clothes dryers. And how do we get off the natural gas system and turn those all into high efficiency appliances?
Fantastic. Thank you. It's a great panel we've got tonight. So then the very first question we've got here is a two-part. And does your company currently offer any kind of work-based learning opportunities for students? So internships, apprenticeships, job shadows, volunteer opportunities even. And are there any age requirements behind that, or technical requirements? And we can start with Eddie.
Sure, I'll go ahead and start out. There isn't anything direct for my company, and the way that I'm kind of set up is I have my installation partner. He's more like the license holder, does like the physical installations. On my side of the business, I'm going out and focus on business development, going out and getting clients and things of that sort. But there is a decent amount of solar design, understanding cash flows, utility rates, and things of that sort, understanding usage, how to become a little bit more efficient on your buildings and some of those things. So there isn't anything active that I have currently right now, but definitely within my partner relationship, on the installation side, definitely has opportunities for apprenticeships and things of that sort, especially if someone wants to get into the trades, especially into electrician, as opposed to some of those trades or skills, working towards if they would eventually want to be a license holder there as well.
Great, thank you, Eddie. And then Henry, are there any opportunities over there for students in any kind of work-based learning?
Yeah, so I'm not sure about right at this moment, but we do have internships that are offered out pretty often. So internships in design engineering and project engineering. So that's one option, basically college age students. And then we also have like temporary positions. So I guess people who are kind of in between college, just to help them get started. Yeah, those are mainly the opportunities that we have for students.
Fantastic. And Panama or Jeffrey, are there any other internship opportunities? Yeah.
Yes, with the at the college, we do interact with a lot of agencies, local water agencies that offer internship programs and apprenticeship programs. Namely, as I mentioned before in the introduction, we do have some internship programs that were put on hold due to the pandemic, but we're hoping to get those up and running with our local water agencies. And what's required is students have to remain in good standing but they have to be high school. I think they have to get their high school, education or GED, clearly a right to work, and I believe they have to be in good standing, C average, and we don't want their internships to, affect their GPA. So I think in a lot of cases we work with the employers to make sure the students are doing good on both sides. Clearly the employer has to have a good student, and we have to make sure that they do well in school as well.
Thank you. Yeah, and in Panama?
Yeah, you'll hear this a lot in my participation in this panel, that I'm one step removed from the companies that are doing the work, but we work with hundreds of companies that do the work. And so my observations are going to be generally what I'm seeing across the industry. And so we work a lot with HVAC companies and air conditioning, heating, just like particularly heat pumps, which you see above Jeffrey's head there in the picture, installing those heat pumps, installing heat pump water heaters, and then a lot of electrical work. And what we're seeing across the board, HVAC, plumbing, electricians, it's just a complete dearth of millennials and Gen Zers getting into the industry, in a huge need. The average age of a HVAC technician in America is 55. Average age of a plumber is 57. And these folks are starting to think about getting out of the industry, passing folks on. And like, those are the folks that we need teaching this next generation coming in. And there is just a dearth of new blood coming in. So there's a huge need in this industry with good paying jobs, doing great work.
It's fantastic to hear. So then my next question is a little bit more on, getting into the work, and once they're actually ready to start, out of their college experience and that. But what certifications do you think are most necessary to be successful in this field? And, if it's different positions, if you could outline that for us. But I mean, Panama, maybe if you could start, because I know you've got a pretty wide gamut of services. Are there certifications that stand out?
Yeah, I mean, the three basic ones for working in homes and like electrifying homes and home performance are the ones that Jeffrey and his colleagues talked about in the intro, just like your basic plumbing certificate, your electrical certificate, your HVAC certificate. You can get in a lot of community colleges. The one that kind of stands out that you wouldn't normally know of is one called the Building Performance Institute certification. And this is a training and a certificate, and you can have it for either, a whole building or for certain parts of the building. Like you can get a certificate just for like insulation, or a certificate just for HVAC, but it is a fantastic get a job immediately certificate that if you're able to get that certificate, it is a gold standard for the industry. And so that's a fantastic organization that works with training centers and community colleges and helps them with curriculum and getting folks the training they need to work on home performance.
You said that was the Building Performance Institute certification?
Yep.
Great. Yeah, definitely one to write down. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. Jeffrey, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Panama. Thank you, Zachary. As I said, to be a licensed operator, or it's a requirement to be licensed by the state to be an operator in the state of California, whether it's a water treatment plant operator or a water distribution operator. The licensing agency is the State Water Resources Control Board. It used to be back in 2014, Department of Health Services, that got moved in, that kind of conglomerated the water operation division into the State Water Resources Control Board. They do a lot of things, but the license, as I mentioned, they require high school education. I believe there's an age, you have to be 18, high school education or GED requirement. You have to take just a couple of courses. One is the water math and hydraulics, which is a prerequisite for a lot of our courses. So I always suggest that students take that. And then if they take a water treatment or water distribution course, they can qualify to take the treatment to and or the distribution to with no experience. So that provides them, their license, and they go on a job interview. Employers know you need no experience to get these licenses, but it's still really important that that's the end goal when you're in the water utility field, is to be licensed through the State Department of Water Resources. So the other license is well, it's not necessarily a license, but the certificate in automation that we have for the 4 electronic technology courses. I think I mentioned them before. They're DC circuits, AC circuits, PLC, programmable logic controllers. That's the acronym for PLC. And then we also have electrical wiring and controls. And those 4 courses will provide you a certificate in automation. And Panama mentioned the more detailed, for electrician, you got to have more, but this will get you in the field for apprenticeship. And that's really important, so you can learn as you learn. So I think that's really important that high school students be aware of that opportunity now.
Thank you. Yeah, and thank you, Panama, for answering that question in chat. I appreciate that. Henry or Eddie, are there any certifications you guys know that stand out?
Yeah, so I guess we mainly deal with the kind of the advanced engineering for power plants. Big thing to look for in engineers is professional engineering license. That's kind of the gold standard. You have to, in order to have any component installed in a power plant, you have to have a professional engineering license. So that involves 2 exams, work experience, and of course, college education. Could be a bachelor's, but you could supplement that with work experience. But I would say that in our industry, that's probably the most important.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and Eddie?
Yeah, for myself, just one quick important note. I think what's important from what Jeffrey was saying and what I've seen, especially for the industry, is anything in that control space is going to be really big for the industry. There's going to be a really large need for people that have that experience or some of those certificates and controls, just because if you could manage or control the energy in a building or a home or wherever else you might be, there's a lot of the technologies going into that in the control space, and as I see it within renewable energy. But then more specific to my company and my business, there's 2 to note there as far as certification. So the first one's NABCEP, which is NABCEP, which is, it's a North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners. That's just a certification that you can get by studying courses and things like that and passing a test and getting to understand renewable energy and how to install that. And then the other notable one as well that doesn't have any specific education requirements outside of passing the test is the LEED certification, LEED, which is Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. And so there's certain different levels or different areas within the LEED certification. It's basically how to design or retrofit buildings to become more energy efficient. And it takes into account a lot of the different things that I think Panama had mentioned there with moving things to more renewable sources of energy, and then by offsetting that with solar, which is what we're helping to do for LEED certification.
Excuse me, Zach. I wanted to be sure to throw this question into the group, specifically for the industry professionals. For those who may not be aware, one of the questions was regarding the classes relating it to the specific sector. And so a lot of the schools have their career technical education pathways from high schools that kind of help them find an internship. I know Panama shared a link, but I definitely want to hear from industry reps as well. Some schools, they may not have the specific class or, maybe building on that pathway for energy and utilities. So hearing from the industry reps, would you all have any advice on maybe what could be taught to high school students so that way they can start building those entry-level skills for that field?
Yeah, I guess I can take that one. So I was actually at I guess it was like a manufacturing day at Fullerton College, and I ran into students from San Juan Capistrano, and I guess they have an engineering program where an engineering track in their high school where they learn AutoCAD, learn to work with calipers, and I think that's a great program. You kind of get exposed to all the different software that engineers use, as well as different measuring tools. So I think kind of those programs are very beneficial to at least what I see in my industry.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Henry. And you know, any others if you guys are thinking, and if you think about it later and maybe want to circle back to this answer, but just, you know, if a high school doesn't have courses directly related to a student wanting to get into this, what are some other courses they might be able to take that can, you know, point them in the right direction? If there's an answer immediately, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, one of the things I love about this panel is we kind of have like the most basic stuff of just like replacing electrical wires in your house, all the way to Henry, which is like the most complex possible application of utilities, like nukes and everything in between. So I'm just loving this panel that it is like from the basic to the most high tech you could possibly have. But you can't go wrong with electrical. You know, electrical is going to be the basis of like our transportation, our movement on transportation to electric vehicles, our movement on electrification of industry, electrification of buildings. It's like electrical is going to play such just like a fundamental role, and that'll serve you whether you're a line person working up on top of a pole, whether you're working out there in the field. It's just you cannot go wrong with basic electrical background, getting involved in the trades.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only other follow-up I had there, and it was kind of brought up there before, is just some simple math. Like you said, that might be some issues with some of the students there now, but being able to do a lot of those just quick conversions, some quick percentages to decimals and vice versa and whatnot's going from kilowatts to kilowatt hours, or understanding some of those things, or how those production totals are too, or also understanding, you know, seasonality of usage, how things might be different in July versus in December, and understanding some of those different things. And as far as it pertains to what Panama mentioned as just electric is going to be the world, and understanding some of those very simple complexes are going to be very, you know, the students are going to be very hireable at that point too. The same thing too, as I mentioned, the controls being large as well. What Panama mentioned, just the EV charging space that might take up 50% of my business within the next 3 years is doing commercial solar for half, and then commercial EV charging for the other half is the other large growth industry. And not just with the recent inflation bill having a lot of money in there for EV charging, it's just all of the vehicles in California as of 2035, any new vehicles will all be electric, and it's just exploding now. So that's definitely going to be an industry or something else that students can learn and get into now, and they're going to be very hireable at that point.
Yeah, I would echo the same thing. I think the course I remember the most from high school was my electronics, or they called it electricity class. So we had to learn Ohm's law, right? E equals I over R. And I just recently had an air conditioner go out in a really hot summer, and this guy tried to sell me a whole new unit. I said, man, why don't you just replace the capacitor that regulate the current? He looked at me like, oh yeah, well let me try that. So it worked, obviously. So just basic electricity. I'm a chemist by trade turned engineer, but that course saved my life and my pocketbook many times. So electricity, I think, would be great. And just as we all mentioned, the math behind it, because you have to understand the math, but it's basic math, and it's not anything. I think trigonometry is great if you get to that level, but if you understand the basic math, the other subject matters, at least in my opinion, I don't want to speak for all, but just math in general.
Basic, how to apply it too, just the basic math and how to apply it. It's just, I can do a million basic calculations. That might be one thing, but how to apply that into those calculations, or how to apply that to an installation or whatever else you might be doing, I think is what you're saying, Jeffrey.
Thank you. Spoken like a true engineer, Eddie.
I am not nearly smart enough to be an engineer like Henry, but I know that I'm not smart enough to account for that.
Well, then this one's a nice question. I think this one's a little bit interesting because it's different than what we've been asking before. But what technological changes or advancements do you think have happened in the industry over the last amount of time? I don't know, 10 years, 20 years, that should then inform high school curriculum and how that should change. Have there been any big leaps or changes? I mean, obviously building electrification and the amount of spaces that's going to be in is one, but what other changes have happened to the industry?
I've learned robotics is extremely huge, which ties into everything we've been talking about, electronics, and it all ties into automation. So this is something I think, I'm not sure what high school, but I think all high school students love robots, right? And robotics. So if you can get them in at the entry level to learn how robotics works, or maybe couple with some industry, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, I think one of the big things coming in the future, well, it's already here, the coding, just programming, C++. I know I went back to my middle school and my high school, and they're teaching, 6th grade on, they're teaching them how to code and program, which is something I wish I had. That would have benefited me so much. There's a lot of things that we could automate with coding. So I work on design reports all day. And so, and where there's actually programs you can use to where you automate your template, and coding can come in and automate that. So you can make any task that's difficult and repetitive very easy with implementing different coding applications like Python or Java. Yeah.
A big one is panels. A ton of California has undersized electrical panels, and we're going to be adding in, a 40 amp electric vehicle charger and a 40 amp heat pump and a 30 amp heat pump water heater. And we probably got about 10 million homes, and who knows how many small commercial buildings are going to have their panels upgraded. And the technology around something called smart panels now is just absolutely fascinating, to allow you to really control loads really well, and to be able to manage and to be able to time appliances turning on and off just through your panel. And the smart panel companies, I know, would love to partner with high schools and community colleges to get some of this technology out there. So load management is going to be a real key to keeping our lights on for probably the next decade until we get our act together. So I think smart panels would be one big innovation that I think would be good for folks to understand. I'll put a link in the chat.
I'd say everything Panama's doing with the electrification of everything else, and like I mentioned there before, some of the controls, I'm seeing a lot more of that smart technology kind of pop up in that space. Just with HVAC controls is really big. Just understanding, all right, hey, we don't need to turn the air conditioning on a church on a Tuesday at 9 a.m. And so just understanding that space. And then also to battery technology with the stuff that I'm working with. It's here right now, but it's not what it can and will be in 10 years. And so hopefully there's a lot more technological growth on the small individual house or commercial building technology with the battery, and then also on the utility scale battery size. That's what I'm hoping. We get some money to put giant batteries out in the desert, so that way we can send our solar out there and it doesn't go to waste in the middle of the day.
With respect to water, we're all aware of the water crisis. We're here, the ongoing drought we have in California, but the whole idea of treating wastewater, or whether it's sewage or industrial wastewater, to drinking water, the direct potable water reuse, California, the health department is a little slow on that, but they are, we're doing it in Orange County where we're putting it in the ground, recharging wells. But just the whole idea of water and the idea of one water is, sort of the future. I'm not a big fan of desalinization because of the high capital costs and electrical costs, but to the others' points, Panama, Eddie, and Henry all know that it's going to be lots of electricity, so this is all going back to our original deal of, how do you manage the load? How do you design a plant that doesn't, require that much electricity? But these are all high electric load, systems. If you're treating water, if you're recycling water, it's just a new way of doing things.
All right. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. That is unfortunately the end of the time for our panel. I think we've got one more question here from the chat, and then we will wrap it up so that we can get back and do that evaluation to end the evening. Aria, are we good to answer this last question, or do we need to wrap now?
We're good to answer, and then we'll wrap immediately after this question. So we do have, do you think your industry as a whole is doing a good job of expressing the need for a workforce pipeline for the future? That's a great question.
No. I think it's trying to be, and this is more going to looking into presidential politics. I think there is a much greater need or an understanding that there's going to be a need for basically all these kind of trades folks that we see here now. And there's, you guys are doing, yeoman's work of preparing some of those students or giving some of those students those opportunities. But I think just in general, just with work shortages, I mean, if you're a good electrician, you can easily make $50 an hour right now. And if you're a bad electrician, you could make $40. If you're a poor electrician, I should say, you can make $40 an hour right now. So there's definitely a need for it. And I think the industry isn't doing much to understand that need or try to be able to prepare students so that they can go from students to great employees at that point.
I would say I think the utilities, I've seen the utilities do a pretty good job. Like they have recruiters. They seem to send them out to job fairs all the time. They're eloquent about all the different kinds of jobs, everything from like call centers to customer reps to linemen, et cetera. So I think they're doing a good job. The folks in like the HVAC, plumbing, electricians, a lot of these are like mom and pop shops, multi-generational sometimes, and they're just working. They're out there working, and the only communication they do about workforce needs is complaining about it, and not really reaching out. And so I think there's a big opportunity there about connecting the pipeline to those mom and pops here coming up.
And then Henry and Jeffrey, if you have anything to add just briefly before, because we are on time here.
Just real quickly, we all heard, I know in the water industry, the average age, particularly in maintenance, and is like 55 plus years. So the silver tsunami or whatever, I don't have any more silver, but it's going to happen, and operators are in high demand.
Yeah, and I was going to say, in talking to HR, it seems like our most difficult challenge is finding competent welders and technicians. We have a good pipeline to regular engineers from universities, but finding those welders who can actually do the actual labor, it's difficult.
Thank you so much. I think that was. Oh, sorry, Panama. Go ahead.
I was going to say, all these people that just came in, you missed a great panel. Yeah.
Really did. Yeah, no, we had a good one here. Thank you for your input. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Vital Links team to wrap us. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I agreed to be a moderator, and then I got sick. So I'm really sorry you have to hear my froggy voice today. But I'll try. I would much rather hear everybody else's input anyways. So I'll try to be as brief as possible. So we'll start with introductions, name, title, company, and a brief summary about your company. So my name is Adria. I am the Association Director at the Association of Woodworking and Furnishing Suppliers. And we are a national trade association for wood manufacturing. So our member companies are those who produce machines and supplies for wood manufacturers, which generally tend to be cabinet makers, architectural mill workers, and furniture makers, and anyone who's producing things with wood in a manufacturing facility. So we're headquartered in Anaheim, and most of the focus of my job is on education and outreach and awareness and support. And so I love being able to do things in Southern California, and which is how I got connected with Vital Links. So that is it. I will call on, who should I call on? let's see.
So Kevin is the other industry representative with you today.
All right, Kevin, it's your turn.
Yes, sorry about that. I just have to like change something really quick. So my name is Kevin Mendoza. I'm the outreach coordinator at Hope Builders. So in case, well, just before I get started, does anybody know a little bit about Hope Builders besides Oscar? Okay, so just in case you didn't know, we are a career job training program where we are for people ages 18 to 28. One of the programs that we offer is our construction program, which is the most popular program that we offer, that has been offered since the beginning. And what we do, we train them how to do everything in that field, all the way from the carpentry, plumbing, electrical, steel framing, wood framing, glass, masonry, HVAC, welding as well. We teach them all that stuff within 3 months. After the 3 months, depending on wherever they want to go to, whatever field they want to most focus on and get a career in, we go ahead and place them in that. And they get an OSHA 10 certification and CPR and first aid certification once they finish completing the program. And then, yeah, so once they finish the program, they're all set, making sure it's above minimum wage, full benefits. And I know earlier you guys were talking about like, how do you call it? How there's like 25, 26-year-olds like around that age, or there's people even younger, like high school students coming off from high school going into college, that some of them have that lack of communication. So that's kind of where we expanded a lot in throughout the pandemic. That's one thing that we've noticed. We want to make sure that everybody that comes out of the program, they have all those skills, not just the hard skills, but as well as the soft skills, from taking that leadership, the initiative, taking initiative, and all those little things that they may not know, even like being self-aware. So making sure that once they go out in the field, that employer is happy with that trainee that we have already trained with us for 3 months. So, but yeah, so in the short little bubble, that's who we are. We want to make, our goal is just to give them like a second chance in case they didn't have that, they needed that second chance. Because that's a lot of people that go through our programs. Yeah, like we want to make sure that once they finish the program, they're all set. They have nothing holding them back, no barriers in front of them anymore. If they do have any barriers for any reason, they always know they can always contact us, give us a call or anything. They need resources, we're there for them and for no matter what. So one thing that we've been saying like for the past 2 years, it was like once a hope builder, always a hope builder. And that it kind of entails that where 6 years down the line, something happens, they want to come back, they need some information, well, come on back, give you more information, and then you're all set. But yeah, that's my little spiel of who we are.
Sorry, couldn't find that mute button. Thank you, Kevin. That was awesome. You have that down like to a science, so that's brilliant. You answered also like half of the questions on the questionnaire, so I'm really sorry. I'll probably have you kind of repeat yourself in different ways just for the transcript and the recording and that sort of thing. But yeah, that was a great overview. So let's see, sorry, pause, sidebar. Ashley, so for each of these, since it's me and Kevin, would you like me to answer and then go to Kevin kind of thing for each question?
Yeah, or if you want to just make it a conversation since it's just you two, and then if any of the educators want to chime in and ask a question, they could just unmute themselves and ask the question and just have it kind of flow like a regular conversation.
I love it. We're friendly. All right. Does anyone have any comments or questions on what Kevin has shared so far?
You know, I do want to just say, Kevin, and gosh, I know his last name's Wen, and I'm drawing a blank on his first name, but we do have a student that started at Hope Builders that went through the construction program, and I heard that somebody that I know was actually working for him. He is now a licensed building contractor and running his own company.
Yeah, that's actually awesome to hear, because that's what I hear a lot too. Just to share like a little quick story, like last month I had somebody that finished a program in 2019, and a lot like that, like I keep hearing the same stories. Like they finished the program, they're with the company for like a good number of years, they get all that knowledge, and then once they're ready, a lot of them like started like having their own companies. They have like people working like their own people, like, and that's like awesome to see. Like there's some that come through the doors like with low confidence. They don't really want to talk to anybody. They don't want to open up to anybody at all. And finishing the program, like there is like complete a brand new person. Like seeing like that little growth, it's always like amazing to me, like to see. But yeah, that's awesome.
That's very cool. I had got to learn about Hope Builders and connect with y'all before COVID, kind of like Oscar was saying earlier. And man, it's taken me a minute to get back into everything, but you guys have a really awesome program. So I hope we can do stuff together in the future. So let's see, Kevin, can you talk a little bit more about internships, apprenticeships, job shadowing, volunteer opportunities? So like kind of work-based learning, what opportunities do students have in your program to do all of that? And is there an age requirement?
So I'll start off with the age requirement. So we do have an age requirement of 18 to 28. What I tell people, like let's say they're in high school and they graduated, but they're still 17, they can still go ahead and go through the program because they're out of the school system by then. We've had some people that are 17 and take the program even though they're 17. As long as they're out of the school system, they can go ahead and apply. Vice versa, if they're 28, they apply when the program begins and they're 29, we can still go ahead and take them in just because they were 28 at the time when the application was turned in. And now as far as like internships, we don't have like any like set internships. We are working with Anaheim to try to do something small with the internship related, but that's like future stuff that we're planning ahead. But we do have this little thing we call preview nights, or I'll start off with that. With the preview nights is where every like 3 months or so we open our doors to our construction warehouse where like at 5:30 p.m. we have like an open house type of thing. We invite anybody who's interested in the program to come on site. We have current trainees in the program, alumni, and then the instructor themselves and other staff that kind of help out in that journey when they're in through the 3 months and just talk about that program. But also at the same time, we have like a little thing where they can go ahead and learn from the instructor themselves. Once like little tiny bit on how it will be during the program. So that will make like, let's say whoever in here is like doing the preview night, the instructor is there to like teach you how to do like reading blueprints or even hammering a nail like the right way. So just giving like little preview on how the program will work. And now we also offer tours. If they want to go ahead and take a tour, I can go ahead and show them around the warehouse. And one of the best times where I've taken like high school students like during like the day is when we have trainees on site in the warehouse, like doing all their work. Because I guess that's like the best time, because I know it's one thing talking about it, and I was tell everybody it's a whole different thing seeing everything in action put together. From seeing the trainees in the warehouse, some of them doing their soft skills and things like that. So as far as internships, we don't, but we are always open, like just to show you around during the working hours. That way they can see the whole picture.
I love that. That's awesome. On my side, similarly, we are strong supporters of Manufacturing Day. So I know we're talking construction here today. Carl, I think you're in the manufacturing zone more. So Carl, do you know about Manufacturing Day? Do your students participate?
Yes, we do. We had some students come down last week. Ashley, I think, was involved in that. And we thought we were going to have a few more, but it was a small group. But they got a chance to see the equipment running, and we talked to them about, the opportunities and employment and the salaries that you can make, in this trade, and just the satisfaction of, being able to create and build.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't need to tell y'all like how powerful it is to get students out of the classroom and experience that stuff firsthand. It's hard, I'll tell you, because I think everyone is post-secondary, right? And we're constantly encouraging high school students, and I understand as much as I can how difficult it is. It's way easier said than done to get students out of the classroom, but it's like, I think it's so worthwhile. And you know, we've seen kids just transformed. It's so inspiring for us and for the students, I think, to just get out there and see the opportunities and see the machinery running and see people at job sites and, you know, doing all these things. And so it's like, if you can navigate those annoying hurdles of subs and buses and approvals and all that, I know it's a mess, but it's just, I think it enhances what they're learning so much, right?
Yes,
So,
the young folks need to get out and see all of the trades there, because it's very important, because we're losing, you know, a lot of our skilled, you know, professionals, you know, to age and retirement. And, you know, we really don't see, you know, the pipeline of, you know, skilled people behind them to fill those shoes. And it's becoming a larger problem than what most people actually think. And I see it. I'm sure Oscar sees it, you know, electricians, plumbers, everybody. And, you know, I just had some plumbers here today, you know, the last couple of days, you know, working on some piping at my house. And, you know, and one of the owners, you know, his son and another kid were working with him. And, you know, they were, you know, sorry to say, they were lazy. And the guy that was doing all the work was complaining about it, you know. And I'm not sure how we're going to fix this, but it definitely needs to be fixed, because if the day that we are not able to make things for ourselves, we're going to be in trouble as a society.
Completely agree. Really good point. And I think you got the cheat sheet, because that's our next question is, what top 3 soft skills should entry-level employees build before being hired? So like you're talking about laziness, and I know I keep hearing about work ethic, and great points earlier about measurements and basic math skills. My goodness, that's every company.
Communication is really important.
Oh man, it's everything.
Yeah. I got a phone call once. The guy basically said, "You got a job for me or what?" You know, and I'm like, who is this?
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Yeah, it really is. I mean, being able to just get to work on time, you know, promptness. And like Oscar said, communication, you know, people don't know how to talk to each other anymore, because, you know, there's been so many different things that have happened, you know, in the last couple of years, you know, with young folks in their lives, that, you know, the pandemic, you know, shut down a lot of things, and, you know, it just changed the way the world thought, you know. And but we definitely need to make sure that we continue on, you know, pushing these trades and exposing our young children and the generations on these trades, because they're going to be the ones that are going to need stuff done for them. And if, you know, I learned how to do things during the pandemic myself, you know, YouTube, you know, I learned how to fix my washing machine, you know, bought the parts, watched YouTube, put it together, and the spin cycle started working again, you know. And it's just having that initiative to be able to step up and say, hey, I can take this and I can do this. I want to learn this and I want to be successful. And, you know, it's all about helping out and keeping our world moving.
And I'll just add that, you know, attitude in general, right? Like overall attitude is so important. You know, someone that's happy to be there, right? Excited to be given the opportunity, you know, doesn't complain, you know, may not always be the prettiest job or, you know, the fanciest, whatever, right? Just happy to contribute, happy to be part of the team, you know, always excited to learn. We've all gone through that, right? We've all started at the entry level. We know that, you know, we don't always get the best projects or the best assignments or whatever. You get, you know, you get the grunt work. That's part of it, right? Understanding that, being excited even for that, right? And just having a good overall positive attitude, willing to learn goes a long way, right? I've always said, you know, entry level, for me, as you know, I'm putting on my government job, you know, entry level, we're hiring attitude, right? We don't expect somebody at entry level to know much of anything. That's okay, right? We're going to hire attitude. We're going to hire someone who's happy to be there, excited to work, and is just going to contribute. That's it. Everything else, you know, we'll teach you, you know, we'll get you ready for the next level. But it starts with attitude for me.
You know, and it's kind of sad that we're having to interview on that subject, because, you know, 30, 40 years ago, you know, Oscar will tell you, just like myself, being in the industry and being a professional and learning these skills, we went in on an interview to sell ourselves as the skills that we have and obtained and knew we could do the work. It wasn't really about an attitude thing because we came in the door with the right attitude. And these are the things that we're trying to build first before we get the skills. I mean, something's a little backwards.
Yeah. To me, it still seems like it's common sense, right?
Oh man.
I really feel that way.
All day long.
Common sense.
Yeah, and I want to add to that too. So for us, like I feel like from the beginning is when we're trying to see if that's what they show that initiative. So when somebody applies for us, they have to turn in documents. Some of them don't just because they're not sure what they have to turn in, but we give them like a follow-up date. And then we give them like a deadline. If they show that initiative where they even give those documents that they need, so like their social security or driver license, those are the only two things that they need, and they don't turn those in, that's already showing us like, okay, you can, if you let us help you with that and you just trust us, we can help you along with that journey. And then that's that little portion right there in the beginning. The next thing for us is the time management, because we're so strict on time for us. So if you're even 1 minute late, that's it. Like we're writing you down right away. And that's what we tell a lot of them, that we want to make sure that once you're at the door, that you're there 15 minutes on time, basically 15 minutes earlier, because being on time is always late. That's what we always tell them too, because that's what employers are looking for the most too, like making sure that you have all that stuff already, like you said, like it's common knowledge. It should be common knowledge, but we're still teaching them all that stuff too. And then even during the program, seeing if some of them show that leadership, because a lot of them are like really shy. Some of them don't want to be talking to anybody or are so introverted, and we want to see them showing that leadership. So before we even send those out, we keep some of them after the 3 months, because we notice that they're not even ready yet. Because for instance, we had like for this class that just finished like a couple of weeks ago, we had to keep 2 of them back just because they weren't like working with us at all. They weren't like showing like any leadership. They weren't being initiative or anything like that. So I think that's one big thing for us, is we want to make sure before you're out the doors that you know exactly what to do, and so that way you can keep going up that ladder for yourself. It's not like for us, it's all for you too.
Yeah, really good points. And it's like now I'm sure everyone's seeing all the headlines about the test scores dropped during COVID. Yeah, we knew that. Now the evidence is coming in, and it's going to take a while. And the poor kids in this generation are going to have more of a struggle. But yeah, I think all of those soft skills that everyone mentioned are completely universal and so critical. I don't know an employer, those are the same ones I hear all day long. So yeah, I'm with you. All right, we only have like 6 minutes left, so I know we could talk about this stuff for hours. So I'll try and combine the next 2 questions. Kevin, do you have any feedback on the top 3 technical skills an entry-level employee should have when starting their career? And then why are these important? And then any certifications that are needed to be successful in this field?
I mean, what I told everybody is, and for sure, I don't know if somebody can like agree, but construction, they don't really need a certification, but having one like opens so many doors. That's what I told everybody. If you want to have those doors open to you, you have to have that certifications, not only just to go in whatever field you want to go into, but even if you want to have your own like company. And that's what helps a lot of them, like saying that they're legitimate. And I forgot what the first question was.
So 3 technical skills. See, sorry, I combined them.
Another. So, so for the technical skills, I'm like drawing a blank right now. I'm not sure if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, I would say, kind of to tag on to our previous conversation, for us, it's most of the employers I talk with say, we'll train them. If they have the attitude, if they show up on time, if they have any sense of professionalism and common sense, if they have initiative, all of those soft skills we talked about. The technical skills will come next. having said that, computer skills are increasingly becoming important for wood manufacturing. We are more and more dependent on CAD and CAM software. CNC is incredibly prevalent in our industry, just like Carl would see in the metal side and big manufacturing. And so having students that are savvy on computers, which is pretty easy because most of them are native learners at this point. But the CAD skills kind of are a different next level sort of thing, and CAM programming. So yeah, that would be pretty important. And just kind of, yeah, technical, gosh, I'm drawing a blank on the word, but yeah, just, you know, it is kind of a different, you're engaging a different part of the brain when you get into machinery and that sort of thing. So just kind of having that interest or a little bit of the natural skill is very helpful. All right, anything to add, Kevin, or anybody?
So it looks like Mr. Greg Berger had a question about competencies.
Okay.
Not necessarily a question. That was, she was looking for the word. I think you were trying to think of technical competencies.
That's
all. Yeah, sorry.
Thank you so much. No, that's awesome.
Listening.
Yeah,
I'm here.
Just, like, hang out with me all day and do that, because I'm always, especially since COVID. What is that word? Okay.
Oh, the fog. Yeah.
Yeah, the fog is real. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's see if we can get a few more in here. Technological advances that have been made to the industry and what would be important to add to high school curriculum. This is a big one for me. I kind of, you know, I already got into it. CNC is a big deal, and we're seeing more and more of our wood manufacturing programs getting CNC machines. Right now, we're organizing a training session, like an all-day training session for teachers on how to use those CNCs, because with all the funding that came through the past few years, they got these lagunas and all these, you know, cool things, and they're collecting dust, and, you know, there's paper sitting on them and they're not being used at all. So they don't have that training. So we want to get those going and get students learning on them. And then robotics is increasingly more important. Right now for material handling, it's pretty common, but now it's also spray finishing is a big deal. And now it's getting into more aspects and elements of the manufacturing process. And so kind of going back to those technical competencies, you know, like kids who are, we love, you know, like FIRST robotics and VEX robotics and all those things where they're like getting their hands on and understanding kind of those concepts. That's big. That's really awesome.
Well, let me just add to what you're talking about, the high schools getting equipment, and, you know, even some of the other colleges that didn't have programs, they're getting grants to buy equipment as well. Well, Al and myself, my colleague at Orange Coast College, we're part of a teacher training program that's sponsored by Haas Automation, you know, where we get all our machines. So we do teacher training at least twice a year during the summer and then during intersession in January. And we have some classes scheduled for this January. Al does the mill class and I do the CNC lathe class. And, you know, it's a 5-week, I mean, not a 5-week, I'm sorry, a 5-day course. And, you know, we're trying to make an expert in 5 days, which is impossible. But I mean, at least they get the knowledge and, you know, the basic understanding of how to operate these, you know, these machines, you know. So if teachers are looking for some training during that time, you know, we're open, you know, to, you know, have them come to that teacher training course, you know, to try to get the skills to get themselves up and running.
Love Haas. And Kathy Lohman is one of my heroes, and
oh, yeah.
I look at, you know, oh man, they do some amazing things, and
yeah,
so
they do.
It's
yeah,
wonderful
Kathy's
to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that they're definitely like a role model for us. And so we are almost out of time. So let me see if we can fit in one more. Oh, okay. When considering entry-level applicants, how do you weigh their work experience versus completed degrees? Kevin, do you have any thoughts on that, or anybody?
I know for us, they don't have to have like any experience for us, because we start from scratch if they don't have any. If they do, that's great, because they already have some knowledge about it, and from there, that's where we kind of see for those that do have knowledge to see if they can go ahead and kind of, I would say, like not teacher, but like teach other people in the program. That way that's when we see, oh man, they already have that leadership. So that's where some of the skills come in too. But just if they have no skill, some skill, or even if they have some certification, like that's not even part of construction, but like a lot of like I see a lot of people that have like forklift certification, but as long as it's not like a certification in like OSHA, that will be the only thing for us. So they can come in with no knowledge at all, and we can just at the end they have this whole book of knowledge in front of them.
Great point. Yeah, OSHA's like, yeah, it's like just do like OSHA 99 or OSHA 10 or whatever, you know, like if get it done, you know, that going back to certifications, it's like it's only going to help. It won't hurt to have that kind of under your belt, and it gives the student more confidence, I would think. And so yeah, great point. Okay, are we wrapping up?
Yes, so we are closing up the breakout room now. Thank you, Adrian and Kevin, for all your insight, and thank you everybody for being so interactive throughout this advisory board part of the advisory board. So let me change it back to the other breakout room.
Thank you all. Good to talk.
Yes, this was great. I want to thank all of the industry professionals for joining us, as well as the college educators for sharing such great feedback. I greatly appreciate you all. I have shared the ECU evaluation in the chat for the educators. It is a 5-minute or less. You'll also receive a reminder on Monday if you just want to breathe for the weekend. I totally get it. Happy Friday. Thank you all for joining us. Please enjoy your weekend. And stay safe for Halloween if you are going out to collect candies, and have a great weekend. Thank you all. We'll see you later.
Hey, I wanted to add something real quick. On October 16th, there was the CBS Sunday Morning. Ted Koppel was sitting in for Jane Pauley, and there was a segment on trade secrets. I think it's be a good piece for everybody to take a look at. October 16th, Sunday morning, CBS Sunday Morning, Ted Koppel, the trade secrets segment was really, really, really good information.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Carl. I'll definitely check that out. Yeah.
Did you say the evaluation is only for educators? So
it is, but you can definitely share it as well. We would definitely love your feedback. Here, let me share it one more time. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And we can email it to you as well. We have an email going out Monday.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.